What's going on, everybody? It's Paul with another Better Call Paul Live. It's December 4th, 2017. And so it's actually my wife's birthday today. So happy birthday, Elisa. She's looking great. She turned 40. She's okay with that. So it's all good. It's all good. So we finally made it to December. I shouldn't say finally. It just seems like it's just gone crazy fast this fall, and we're already upon the red-nosed ruckus, but that's coming up. So let's just get into what's been going on this past week, the last week of November going into December 1st. First of all, we launched another PSA for Pleasant View Medical Care Facility. This one talking with a child of one of the residents and talking about how much they care for his mom. That's telephone call in the middle of my live video. He knows better than that. Anyway, let's move right along into the next one. Our third video in the series for the Michigan Coalition Against Homelessness. This time we hear from Crystal out of Detroit and her story of going from home to home to home, in which she talks about just because you are in a home doesn't mean you're not homeless, because of the simple fact that it is not your home. You are borrowing and stealing from other people until you find a space for your own, and she eventually did that. So she talks about that with her family standing behind her. Very powerful story. Once again, don't forget to subscribe to our two YouTube channels, our #BetterCallPaul YouTube channel, which has all of the Better Call Paul stuff, which basically is our stuff that we produce internally for the outside world. The other one is obviously our client work, and that is the UnoDeuce multimedia channel. So please subscribe to both of those channels. Don't miss out on one of the videos. In case you miss out on this live video, you can always catch it later on, either tomorrow on our website or on our YouTube channel. So if you don't happen to catch this live, you can still grab it. But moving right along, speaking of the website, UnoDeuce.com, on the blog, we had 4 straight blogs last week. We had a full count. Unfortunately, Shireen wasn't around on Friday, so I had to hold down the fort. And so Friday we didn't post anything, unfortunately. Sorry about that. So the first is obviously the #BetterCallPaul live. The live show last week, in which we talk about the videos and the events there, but also the question of how is our pricing process work, by the hour or by the project. So find out that answer there. Next, we did a November 2017 recap. It was the end of November, so we threw that out there. 4 great videos that we launched in the month of November. And of course, Shireen put together a really cool promotional video on that one. Next is the Part 3, Facebook Marketing for Small Businesses, Part 3, the Michigan Business Wrap, in which I, Courtney, keep wanting to say Lane Mackey, but she's now Larvadane, Courtney Larvadane of Glow Social Media, and Rose Tantrapol of Moonsail North, where we talked about Facebook and marketing on Facebook, and this time choosing the right content, making sure that you have content, but you're choosing the right content. Anyhow, moving right along on that, we had a guest post once again from Strongwell, and he brought into simple work goals to hit the ground running in 2018. These are great tips for you to watch or for you to implement into your work-life balance going into the new year. So, another guest post there. Moving right along in our other channels, RideHomeReviews. This week I'll be reviewing 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri. That looks great. Starring Francis McDormand and Woody Harrelson and Sam Rockwell, and directed by, I think his name is Martin McDonough. If you don't know him, go watch In Bruges. That's a must-watch. Unbelievable film. So, last week I reviewed with my friend Julie Powers, who's a big fan of the story of Murder on the Orient Express. So check that out. That's on the Ride Home Reviews YouTube channel. It's also on the Facebook page, so check it out there. Go to the link. Next is the drinking lunch, in which the post was about networking made easy. 8 conversation starters for those who don't know where to start. Networking is not easy for everybody, and so that's why we developed the drinking lunch in the first place, is to make an easy, comfortable place for those who are not naturally into networking. It's just having a comfortable atmosphere in which you can meet people at your pace and your style. So, but here's some conversation starters just in case that still is a little bit overwhelming. So check that out. Great article from Entrepreneur Magazine. Going into the news, I just got news at the end of last week that I will be representing UnoDeuce Multimedia in the Goldman Sachs 10,000 small business program. It's held at Wayne State University. When I start this week, unfortunately, I'm going to miss the first day. Why? We'll get into that in a second. But I'm honored. I was nominated by my friend Lynn Ross of Mother and Earth Baby Boutique, and I filled out all the massive amounts of paperwork that I had to do and all the online process, and I was accepted. So I start that this week. I'm excited because this is a hell of an opportunity for my business and to see it grow and for me to learn. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, we have a new client. I don't know why this didn't go through. Anyway, a new client this week is Adrienne Lau of Remax Real Estate Professionals. We're looking forward to working with her and on 3 videos that will be coming up in the new year. So check that out. Wait till you see what we have in store for her and her team. So events coming up this week that you should pay attention to. Some I will be at, some I will not be able to make due to other conflicts. First of all, there's the Holiday Glitter and Applause, which is put together by the Arts Council of Greater Lansing, my friend Debbie and Megan and Dawn and them. That'll be at the University Club from 6 to 9 p.m. On Thursday is the Holiday Party and Member Mixer that is hosted by the Mason Area Chamber of Commerce. My friend Doug down there putting this together. That'll be at the Ingham County Fairgrounds from 5 to 8 p.m. It's their annual thing. They're going to do awards and such, and it's always a fun time. Fortunately, I have conflicts on both those nights, so I will not be able to attend either. I'm bummed, but that's just the way it goes. But I will be at this next event, which is the Child and Family Charities Red Nose Ruckus here at Hawk Hollow and Eagle Eye from 6 to 9-ish, 10-ish, around that time. It's a live auction, silent auction, all sorts of stuff. The whole place is taken up, and it's a fun event. I'm looking forward to it. That's pretty much got our attention here at UnoDeuce, because since Child and Family Charities is one group that we love to work with, and we've done a lot of work with them. So there's going to be a lot of our stuff there, and we're going to be having a great time. So that's it for the events coming up this week. If I missed any, I'm sorry. I apologize. I will also be doing a presentation at the Shiawassee Connection Group at the Shiawassee County Chamber of Commerce on Thursday at 8:30 a.m. So if you can make that, then, I appreciate it. Or send me some support. Whatever. Anyhow, next in the news, what are 3 things that are happening out in this world today? First off, we have Facebook. Facebook is to lift long-time ban on pre-roll ads. What does that mean? Well, basically, the pre-roll ads are the ads you usually see on YouTube. Now, Facebook wasn't built like YouTube because you're going to be scrolling as part of a feed. However, since Facebook has now released a YouTube-style competitor called Facebook Watch, which they're trying to grab more of the TV audience, pre-roll ads make a little bit more sense. So, therefore, you're going to see more pre-roll and mid-roll ads in those style videos, not in the news feed or on business pages or so on and so forth, like you do on YouTube. So that's what that's all about. Next was, I was a virtual reality non-believer. This is a great article about someone who is basically poo-pooing virtual reality, similar to what I've been doing. But he gave a couple of different story styles a shot. And so therefore, he said, you can see something in the realm of being around 15 minutes or so. Some good narratives that were there, some good perspective, eye-popping story, different ways of storytelling that's outside of the museum work of art or outside of a training situation or gaming situation, in which it's a story in which you are an active observer of some sort. So it's an interesting way. It's a good article on his biasness of virtual reality and what he went through from that. So check that out, read that. And then this will probably be the only article I put on this, but this is huge. I would have to say that this article is probably just as big as the Harvey Weinstein scandal. Everybody knew inside the fall of today's Matt Lauer. This is just heart-wrenching. I've never been a fan of Matt Lauer. I'm not really a fan of the morning programming. I find it a bit of fluff and so on. I know a lot of people are. I've always questioned his journalistic style, but who am I? I'm not a broadcast journalist myself. But that's beside the point. The whole point is going in and dissecting where he was put in a position of power and what he used his title and his positioning for, and how easily that can be taken away. Well, I shouldn't say easily, because the simple fact is NBC got caught. He got caught, and there was no other avenue to do than to remove him. And so therefore, it's just a disgusting turn of events that was way too long in happening. There's way too many victims and way too many people that have been hurt and scarred by the actions of this one person. And I totally concur with the decision. I do not concur with the amount of time it took to get to this point. Anyway, that's my opinion. But it's interesting. The Vanity Fair has done some really good pieces on the Matt Lauer situation and looking at different sides and different voices, and so check those out. I'm not one to put on the Inquirer hat or anything like that, but Vanity Fair is not a tabloid magazine, and they did do good write-up. I felt that was objective to the situation. So anyway, downer news. Next is question of the week. Comes from my old mentor and boss from my days in Seattle, Pastor Dave Ellingson, who is on his own thing. He wrote a book called Pedal Pilgrim, in which he traveled from the Pacific Northwest all the way to New Orleans in a kayak and documented that whole journey. And now he's going to do a different trip, I believe this time in Europe, I believe he said. But his question was, what is the best GoPro camera for kayaking? And that's a really good question, because for the simple fact is, when you're in situations such as extreme sports or sporting in general, or in a situation in which at any point in time you could drop something, you have to think of the cost of it. I mean, GoPros, as good of a camera they are, and they're not as expensive as most cameras. However, they still are $400 to $500 if you look at the GoPro 4, 5, or 6. sometimes even more if you and going into the accessories and the mounts to make sure that it doesn't happen. But it's wet, it's slippery. At any point in time you could drop it. So in this case, I told him since he has to be budget conscious. You have to be budget conscious in this regard to look at some of the lower end cameras, such as maybe the GoPro Session, which is sold in select stores such as Target. That has some limitations, but it's still it gives you still good GoPro quality picture, but it doesn't cost as much. Don't believe it has the Wi-Fi capability, and that's one of the drawbacks to it. But of course, they're streamlining that piece of equipment. The other company to look at is Swan. We've purchased a Swan camera. That's the name of the company, Swan, and they make some really robust cameras that are half the price, if not a third of the price of what a GoPro does. And they also come with some accessories and can use some of the mounts, but not some of the casings. So that's another one. Or even the Yi camera out of China, in which you go to their website. That's a little more pricier than the Swan, but still is not as much as the GoPro. But those are some options that you can have. Those are some of the things that you can do, because if you have a tight budget, if you're not a professional videographer or a professional video person in which or sponsored to do this, in which you have some unlimited, wouldn't say unlimited, but a bigger budget, then these are some of the options that you should look at. Because if you drop it into the water, the chances of you getting it back are slim, especially in the deep area. And he's looking at northern Norway or Sweden, and that area, there's going to be some deep waters, so you're not out a whole lot. If you drop it, you may be out of some footage, but it can always be recaptured. So there you have it. Those are some of the things you should look at. I hope you enjoyed the show. Once again, happy birthday to my wife, Elisa. And looking forward to going to the Red Wings tomorrow night, going out to Detroit and eating at some of our favorite places for her birthday tomorrow night. But if you have questions, you know what to do. Drop us a line, Facebook, email, Paul S. at paul@unodeuce.com, info@unodeuce.com, Instagram, YouTube. Reach us out there, because if you have an issue or about video, a question about video, or if you just want to figure out a great story for what your organization is doing, then you know what to do. You better call Paul. Thanks for watching. I will see you next week.